Please welcome your DEX podcast hosts, Tim Flower and Tom McGraw.
Hi, everyone. This is great. Hello, hello. Am I on?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. Welcome to the second ever DEX Show Live. My name is Tom McGraw. I'm joined, as ever, by the main man, Tim Flower.
Good to see you. It's great to see you too, Tom, and live in person together. We're usually across the pond from each other, right? And it's so great to have everybody join us in our studio today. Welcome as we hit the third event on Experience Everywhere and the second chance to do this live in front of everyone.
And if you're wondering who on earth we are, we present world-leading DEX podcast. It's also the only DEX podcast, but don't take that too cynically. And we recently hit the incredible milestone of our 100th episode. Now, what's fascinating about that is it's actually one episode for every year of Tim Flower's IT career. Now, it was a lot funnier in London when he didn't see it was coming.
It was funny. So the truth of the matter is, I'm only a third of the way through that journey.
Only a third.
35. But as you can imagine, 35 years in IT, I've had my chance to go to my fair share of conferences as well. Back to SMS and Win2K, Altiris Managed Fusion, Symantec's Vision, the Microsoft MMS, all of the worlds, DEC World, VM World, Dell World. There's a whole solar system of conferences out there to go visit.
My goodness.
The one thing that I enjoyed from all of the conferences, though, is the vendor content is great. Ours today is no exception. But it's about all of you and your ability to pick the brains of other customers who are experiencing the same problems that you are. Steal shamelessly from them. It is the sincerest form of flattery. So flatter as many people as you can today.
Not least us. Not least us.
And make sure you flatter Tom and his nice scarf, too.
Please. So if you don't know the format of the show, it's a weekly show, the DEX Show, and every other week, approximately, we have a fantastic IT leader who comes on the show, talks about their company, their achievements, but it's the DEX Show Live, so we have two fantastic IT leaders from two fantastic companies for you today. Let's introduce our first guest. He's Zakir Mohammed. He's Manager of AI and Automation. What a fantastic title that is for Toyota Motors North America. Zakir, come on. Sit down.
Yeah, you're on.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming, man. It's great to see you. First and foremost, welcome. I think we all know Toyota, but maybe a good start would be to hear a little bit more about your specific area that you own and that you oversee.
Absolutely. I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. My name is Zakir Mohammed. As Tim and Tom mentioned, I'm the manager at Toyota Motor North America. As you all know, Toyota is a global company, one of the largest car selling company. And in North America, Toyota IT systems or IT environment is very complex. We have 150, we call field offices or remote sites, and we have data centers, and we have manufacturing plant, around 16 manufacturing plants in North America. And my area of responsibility is observability, end-to-end observability of all applications supporting Toyota's business, infrastructure, network, servers, and you name it, and DEX, automation and DEX, user experience. So we have around 40,000 plus endpoint devices, and one of my responsibility is to provide them awesome world-class experience to them. And with next thing, I think we just started the journey. We are hoping to see more and more value we should be able to provide.
As you said, you have just started the journey, but it has been a really, really interesting year and a half, right? But before we get into that and why specifically we wanted to talk to you so much, tell us about the circumstances before the journey began. What were you looking to achieve? What challenges were you confronted by?
Yeah, it's a good question. So as I mentioned, our IT is a very complex environment. We have world-class, best-in-the-market tools for application and infrastructure monitoring. But we don't have a good tool or a technology, a way to monitor how our users are performing, what pain points are they going through, how their endpoint devices are performing, are they getting what they need from the IT, right? So So then we started thinking, I talked to many IT leaders in the industry. I've attended many conferences and talked to our market research partners like Gartner. And then we decided we need a tool, one of the world-class tool to not only monitor our infrastructure application, but also the core assets of our company, which are users. So then we started saying that we need to have this DEX tool. Then, we did POC, we evaluated multiple tools. Finally, we ended up by going with Nexting because that is one of the top rated during our proof of concept. So, here we are. We just started the journey.
So Zakir, let's get a little philosophical for a little while. I had a chance to come down to your facility during the time where you were evaluating what you were going to do. And what struck me was just the amazing facility, all glass, brand new. It had unfortunately sat empty for a couple of years because of COVID. But when I was there, people were just coming back into the office. The vibe was really cool. Great forward-looking, modern vehicles in the lobby, and even down to your Genius Bar that you call the pit stop, which I think is really cool.
You still remember the name?
Absolutely. It was one of the great things of visiting there. You really take your brand and bring it out to your employees and make sure they're part of that. Talk a little bit about how DEX and what you want to accomplish with DEX fits into that corporate culture. Maybe not so much from technology, but from the human capital and the employee.
Yeah, absolutely. So Toyota, we have two pillars, right? Just like any other company. So one of the pillar is respect for people. So, second pillar is continuous improvement. Of course, buying and selling cars is our core business. That is our bread and butter, right? And Toyota believes, being that respect for people, Toyota believes that one of the most valuable asset of the company are people. So that is one of the reasons Toyota is striving to provide a better and world-class experience to our employees. And when we started the journey and going through our leadership, and this exactly resonates with what companies looking for, right? Employees, the assets of the company, and providing great experience to improve their productivity, no less than building a car or selling company. So that is one of the main goal of my team and our leadership team is to improve the productivity so that they can be more productive, they can do a better job, not run around for IT help.
So one of the interesting things for me coming to Nextink 8 years ago was now being on the outside looking into the process that a customer or prospective customer like you takes to evaluate. Take us inside a little bit of your journey of evaluating and trying to justify new technology.
So it's a good question, and I was expecting a more tough question. So this is one of the challenges. We had a great partner like Nexting, right? Our journey is very long, and I'm pretty sure most of the DEX leaders in this room must have gone through the same challenge. No matter what you do, no matter how much, how nice business case you prepare, the question comes from leadership is why? Why are we doing? Justifying them. It will be easy. We are a car company, right? It'll be easy for me to say, hey, give me $500,000 or $1 million I can buy network gear, or I will buy server and expand more storage, or move applications to cloud. That is easy sell. They understand, this is going to help to build more cars and sell more cars. When I say, hey, give me money, I'm going to build DEX, I said, what? So it's a journey, and that's one of the reasons we have gone through. We believe one of the things called PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. This is one of the Toyota's terminologies. It takes time, and quality is one of the ingredients of Toyota. Vehicles we build into quality. So whatever we do, we don't rush. We are not an IT company or any other company. So it's we know Toyota has been around for many, many years, maybe 100+ years, but in North America, it's 50+ years. So it takes time. We do the thorough evaluation and plan, do, plan, check, do, act. So it took some time, but eventually we were able to convince them why it is important. When we say, okay, this is what we want for our employees, this is what we want to achieve, and it was easy to convince them. But initially, it was tough.
Yeah. So the next phase of that journey then, which probably everybody in this room who's a customer has also been on, is you've got that business case, you've convinced them that it's money well spent. What's your roadmap and your journey to actually track and demonstrate and to show that you're living up to that commitment? How do you make sure that they know you're getting the value you said you were going to deliver?
Exactly. So we are going in 2 phases, approach 1 and approach 2. Our short term is we see, when we pull the tickets data, right? Anything when we do, we pull the ticket data. Majority of the tickets, maybe around 20% of the tickets, your GP updates or driver updates and all the good stuff, right? We can easily automate, achieve using Nexting, which we saw that in our POC, proof of concept. I think that is our short-term goal, to eliminate 20% of service desk tickets. L2, level 2 tickets. Then our long-term goal is, again, this is a high bar we raise ourselves. Using this, somebody says this morning, don't use AI, but if you look at my title, Manager AI and Automation, there is no way I cannot not use it. So using greatest and latest technologies and where the market is going, where the technology is going today, using AI and generative AI, we wanted to build an agentless desk. What it means is, when we say agentless desk, doesn't mean we will eliminate all the people, right? So software, I believe a software has a power, right? Think about, we all know that software can launch rockets, right? Why can't it solve user problems? So that is my firm believer. Using these great tools, our long-term goal is, build an agentless desk, use triage, and identify what are the issues. Why people are still calling service desk? Yeah. They should not be calling service desk for small things, right? So then, our long-term goal is to at least reduce 80% of service desk load. That is a huge, and 50% of level 2 issues. And we have Nexting, we have other partner which we use for L1 issues, and these 2 marry together pretty well. I think with these 2 technologies and with my DEX teams, we have automation teams in our portfolio. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to achieve those goals. But we raise ourselves a high bar.
What do you feel resonated most with leadership out of all of those value propositions in terms of procuring that investment?
So we are able to show the result right now. So for example, one of the things I'll show we just concluded a hackathon, global hackathon. And we presented these 2, Nexting use cases and Moveworks use cases. Nexting, marrying with Moveworks can really provide some great value. So we were able to build some use cases. We were able to show the results to the judges, right? So we didn't win the contest, of course, but participation is important. I think with those results, small wins, I think we should be able to see the value. And I hope that our leadership will recognize and help us for future investments.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, stay there, Zakir, because we want to bring you into the conversation a little more a little later. But
sure.
We're going to introduce now our second guest, aren't we?
Yeah, great keynote from last year. We had him on stage. We had him at our live taping 2 weeks ago in London. Always has great insight and always great to invite him back up on stage. The VP of Information Technology at Honeywell, Mr. Darren Wright.
Darren. We're becoming a trio, Darren. Lovely. Usually get you on the show permanently, I think.
Yeah.
But, it's lovely to have you here in Boston. And if anybody didn't see last year's show, Darren was one of the absolute stars. Tim was going on about his data and his presentation for months.
Talk of the town.
He can recite his figures. I guess a good place to start, though, would be to hear like an update, right? Like not only what those metrics which impressed us all so much a year ago, but where they are now and how you've updated them and what you've achieved since.
Sure. So great to be back. So a couple of things, I guess, is one, we keep doing the basics. We call it the basics. looking at the data, looking at the opportunities, looking at the use cases. So I think when we talked last year, we were on the journey to avoid, the target was 900,000 productivity hours. We achieved that.
Not bad. Not bad. But what have you done since?
Yeah, and so this year, our journey is 1.2 million is the target we're going after. So we're doing the basics. I think we've had a relationship with NextThink for a long time now, 5-6 years. So we're on the infinity journey, moving from cloud to infinity. So that's something that we're very focused on. CMDB integration, another big goal for us this year. Another one is around our software metering. We've done some really good, achieved some really good things with our Microsoft targets. We've taken out, or managed to take out, about $500,000 of cost there. So lots of different things, lots of opportunities, lots of use cases we keep looking at.
A lot of progress.
Great. A lot of what you talk about in terms of savings is related to time, right? Employee productivity and so on. I know how I reacted to it. I know how our audience reacted to it. Got a lot of feedback on the value of that. How is that perceived internally? When you talk about saving time versus ticket reduction and software savings, how did your execs, when they start to see the benefits piling up in time saved, because 1.2 million is a lot of hours, what's the internal reaction?
Maybe not as good as I would like it to be. So I think someone was talking about it earlier. I think our company, like many others, they go after the hard dollar savings.
Yeah.
So what does that really mean? Me personally, I mean, the productivity I think is fantastic. If we can give people time back, if we can really be and use IT as really an enablement rather than just a cost saving, that's where we want to be. So I'd say we get good response from it, but I guess it's not as good as when we're saying we're taking some money out.
Right. A lot of folks who've heard me talk over the years know that in my travels to field offices when I was in enterprise IT, you always hear people talk about the helpless desk, right? IT doesn't have the best reputation in the enterprise. How do you see all the value that you're delivering and the benefits that you're bringing, improving the value of IT, and how can leaders like you help that along?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, there's some business leadership that really get it. I mean, I talked about this example before. Is if I talk to our engineering leadership, they're engineers. Their time is money. They charge it out. So the more enabling we can be, the better it is for them, and the better they can perform. So really, I think we've got to keep spreading the word. We've got to keep passing that message along that this time and this productivity is really important. And I think the more we can be proactive rather than reactive, I think that helps our reputation as well. If we're able to say, we've seen this problem and we've already taken care of this for you, I think that really helps our reputation versus waiting for somebody to call the service desk and telling us about something.
And reputation breeds more value, right? Do you see now starting to see a change in how IT is perceived, moving to a business value partner versus just a cost center?
I think we're beginning to go that way. I think it's tough when it comes to certain technologies, certain tools. So, if we're making a business case for an end customer facing, solution or something, it's relatively easy to perceive then IT as that real enablement. When we're talking about technology tools that really are kind of more in the back office, it's tough. And I think, so we keep trying to show the benefit in the ways that people are used to seeing it, which is cost takeout, in the IT side. So I think we're getting there, but maybe not as fast as I would like us to get there.
Zakir, when you hear 900,000 hours, which is actually 1 hour for every year of Tim's IT career.
The joke is never going to get over.
I'm sorry. With those kind of productivity savings, did you quantify that hypothetically with your leadership as part of the investment conversation? Is it something you're going to return to and tabulate in the years ahead?
Yes, that is definitely part of our business case. We did some math. One of my product owner, my lead here, who did all the heavy lifting. When we did all the math, each ticket, how long it takes to solve the problem, and out of that 20%, how much money it saves. May not be 900 hours, but we did take into consideration in accounted, because that is one of the things we want to give back to the team members. Either productivity gain may not be hard dollar savings, but productivity gain.
It means something.
Yeah, it means.
Yeah, 100%. And Darren, what about your future plans at Honeywell? What's the main focus going ahead over the next year or so?
So few different things. I mean, I said before, I'll say it again, is like keep doing the basics. I mean, we have perception surveys of our people that, tell us what they do like and don't like. It's more about what they don't like about IT. But anyway, there's opportunities there. Obviously, the data inside NextThink and the opportunity within Infinity. So, that for me is keep looking at those three things, keep doing the basics, keep creating those use cases, and that's going to help us drive that more and more of that productivity. We've got an initiative called Digital Drive, which is where we're looking at kind of our standardization or maybe lack thereof in terms of our drivers and our images and everything out across the population. So, we see that as a really big opportunity to kind of understand what good looks like and get everybody to the same, to the same level. So that's a big one. You mentioned MoveWorks. We use MoveWorks as well. There's a big opportunity there to integrate that better together. So that's another of our focus areas, really. So that's the main ones, I think.
One area that came up when we were in discussions prior to these shows was acquisitions, right? Not necessarily an obvious place to go when you're thinking about DEX, but I understand it's been quite constructive and useful at Honeywell, where you have quite a few acquisitions now.
Yeah, absolutely. And and again, when I talk to people, I kind of look at NextThink a little bit as a Swiss Army knife. What I'm going to talk about isn't really necessarily a DEX use case, but when we're making an acquisition, there's a lot of time that goes into filling out spreadsheets about what hardware, what devices, what software, etc. What are we getting ourselves into? And there was actually, someone suggested a use case that we actually use NextThink to get the collector out there, get a specific collector out there, so that it can bring all that data back, use the ServiceNow API, create a CMDB of exactly that integration we're making. We can see exactly what we got. We can also begin to see how that performance is going, what the experience is like as well. And then that gives us a little bit of a head start with integration as well, because then we can start what we may have done before is say, go buy or go lease 1,000 new PCs with a Honeywell image and that's what you need. Well, now we can actually say, well, you know what? We know what's out there. That's good enough. Let's leverage VDI. We can start doing some of the integration with policy pushing and stuff like that. So that was a really neat use case. Took weeks of time really down into minutes, but as I say, not really not a DEX one per se, but a great use case.
Andrew can add it to his slide for next year.
Yeah, there you go.
But so I know at Honeywell you're on the Flow PTP. Obviously, it was unveiled in London first, but obviously mentioned by Pedro this morning. Not necessarily something you've got your hands on yourself at your esteemed position, but what's the feedback you've had and what's the feeling for Flow, as it were?
I'm glad you said it that way. I mean, probably my hands on it would be a dangerous thing, but
it's easy to use. I think I'd be okay.
Yeah, exactly. So no, our team is leveraging it. They took about 15 of our existing use cases to put it into Flow, see what it, see how it went. We also created some new things with it. Feedback is great to use, great interface, really simple. I mean, one of the quotes, I think I heard it in one of the breakout sessions as well, as actually, my lead in this area said, it's so simple, even I could do it. So I'm not sure about that.
They should give it to me and be prove this, prove it, prove how easy it is.
Yeah.
And what about in a general direction of like, where NextThink is going, how the technology is developing? What stands out to you in something like Pedro's keynote that we've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the direction that NextThink is going. I mean, I think, you know, AI it's easy to be the buzzword and, you know, everybody talk about it, but what we're hearing and what we're seeing is something that is like a real, you know, a real good use case to take us to that next step. And I think you know, being a NextThink customer 5-6 years, it has been a journey, and I think it continues to be a journey that we can actually get, you know, just get better and better at this.
Well, we really appreciate your passion and support, Darren, and we really appreciate you joining the journey too, Zakir. And we really appreciate everybody for listening and for joining us here today, don't we, Tim?
Yeah, huge thank you. Love having people join us. Like I said, in our studio, this is great. We've got to find a way to do this more often. Can't really add too much more to what these two gentlemen gave you today, but find them, pick their brains, steal from them, take things back. And with that, Tom, I think we can wrap things up, right?
Yeah, just to say, if you could bear this presentation, we do have a weekly show. You find it, just search for the DEX show wherever you get your podcast, be it Spotify, Apple, or anywhere like that. We have an edition where we have a panel discussion with next thinkers called Reality Bites, and we have a lot of shows like this where we talk to fantastic gentlemen like this. And in a minute, we're going to have an amazing performer join this stage in a video to introduce him. But before we show that, let's just put our hands together and thank Darren, thanks Zakir for joining us.